we're going to talk about Hope program specific stuff here. And so if you have the Formula for Life book, the Beating the Odds, the 15 Bible Truths, these books, these are the core curriculum books. There's, I guess you might say, 5 core curriculum books. Beating the Odds is the initial book, okay? Then they move into Formula for Life. And then they use the 15 Bible Truths. The Life's Toolbox book they use in connection with the Formula for Life. These two books go together, okay? And then there's the devotionals. Okay, so I'm going to explain kind of how these things work together first, give you a kind of an overview of where you would use them format-wise, and then I'm going to go through and explain what's in them, okay? So I'm going to do it kind of in that, in that way. When we have a weekly meeting, and this I'll give modifications on this if you want to do just one-on-one or things like that. But when we have a weekly meeting, we use a 3-part program, okay? And the 3 parts are not really any different than what Awana used to do, okay? Or what RU does. Or, by the way, RU used the Awana format. RU was developed in the same church that developed Awana originally, okay? And so they use that format. So it's not like the RU format. It's actually the Awana format that's just kind of been modified. And it just works. It's a good format. And we've used it for lots of our kids' programs. Our Light Brigade, which is our children's program, and Task Force, we use that same format in those. Those are written specifically to kids. The Light Brigade is for kids 12 and down, and that material's out there. And then Task Force is for teenagers, and it's actually it is this material written into teen format, and it's not addiction focused. Really what this material is a discipleship course with an addiction focus. That's really what it is. Because what they need is they need to grow close to God, you know. And so how do you grow close to God? Well, this is how you grow close to God. But then we take in here, I take and put in, you know, addiction-related specific stuff. So in the Task Force, we took that out. We just made it teen-focused. And the idea being, if we can teach our teens these things, then maybe we won't ever have to take them through Hope, you know. And that's kind of the issue or idea behind that, of doing that like that. Okay, so the format we use, we call Ready, Set, Go. All right, so it's pretty simple to remember, right? What's the program format?
Ready, set, go.
Y'all are awesome. I mean, I knew you were a highly intelligent crowd. I didn't know that you were at that level, though. I mean, just one time, boom. All right? So, flattery. All right. So, yes, Jeff's over like, tell me more, tell me more. You know?
I need that.
So this is what we do in each of these segments. In the Ready segment, this is what we do. I'm going to preface that. This is what we do. You do what you feel is appropriate to your ministry. We are a local church ministry. We believe in the local church ministry. And we are not here to tell you, you better do what we say, you better do it our way, or anything like that. You take what we do and you adapt it to you. And if you find that there's a way that works better for you, do it that way. Because personalities matter. A church has a personality, and that matters. Okay, and you know, I would say it like this though. This is how I do things. This is how I approach things, and you don't have to do it this way, but this is how I approach. I generally start with kind of like, okay, this is how it's intended to run, and like start that way, and then as you're doing it, go, yeah, that part doesn't work for us. I'll modify here. I'll modify there. Don't start with, I'm going to reinvent the wheel. And then go, well, it didn't work. And then blame So it's better to kind of start with a known and then modify from there as opposed to trying to start completely reimagining everything. Okay. I know this does work, but I've changed from where we began. All right, we started with certain things and we've modified over time, and I'm for modification specifically because every person's different, every ministry's different, and there's just going to be changes there. So for us, we start with the ready segment. In the ready segment, we do these things. We sing a song, we pray, and so we have prayer request cards, prayer and praise cards that we hand out to everybody when they're coming in. And if they have a prayer request or a praise, we have them write those things down. And then we hand those in, and they're given to the leader, whoever's in charge at that moment, and he'll go through them, and then he'll have prayer. We don't have open format, everybody giving long testimony, because we have something we need to get to, okay? So we sing, we pray, then we quote Psalm 1 together, and then we have accountability teams. All right, and so accountability teams is when we divide up into pairs or threes, and these folks work together on their book work. And I'll explain that more here in just a little bit, but they're going to work on this, help each other. They're going to sign off on steps that have been done. And if there are no steps done, they're going to help them do the next step or two. Okay? Here's where a lot of people fail, to be honest, is they go, man, our people won't do the book work, so we just eliminated it. All right? So that's like saying, I can't get my people to pray, so we just quit preaching about it. You know, I mean, it's like, that doesn't work. You know, you can't just go, they don't read their Bible, so we're just not going to talk about it anymore. I mean, you know, they need to do personal work. They need to invest in their own spiritual growth. And if they're not going to do that, they're not going to grow. Okay? So initially, we would have this is how we started, where we just said, okay, has anyone got a step that they did this week? And everyone's like, nah, I didn't get one done. And then we were going, okay, well, I guess let's go on to the next segment. And quickly, we found out that didn't work. You know, they're just not going to do it if there's not a time. Some of them, especially when they first start, it's like they're not going home and doing this every day through the week. They're just not. And so we have to have at least a time where this is the time. You're going to do it right now. You know, but then we're encouraging them. You know, you need to get it, have it ready. You know, have it ready. And so we try and pair up accountability where we have someone who is doing the work, right? They may not be done with the work. We don't have just all these leaders that are sitting around waiting for a new person. These are people, they're working with each other in this time. And we encourage them, exchange phone numbers, communicate through the week, encourage each other through the week, you know, be challenging. If you're struggling, contact that accountability partner and you know, be a help to them. Now they also can contact us, and we encourage them to do that, but there's a support system that needs to be built, okay? And so that accountability partner, accountability team helps to build that. I would be careful not to get that too large. You know, you don't want to have 10 people in an accountability team, because then it feels, if there's too many people, there's nobody, right? It needs to be like a person or two people that, you know, this is my team here, okay? And so that accountability time. So during that time, they just divide out, and they're going through the curriculum. They're getting their steps signed off. And as the leader, whether it's me or one of our other leaders, we go around and we hand out award slips. We go to each group and we're like, is anybody going to get an award this week? We hand those slips out. And then they fill those out as they get done. Their accountability partner signs off. Yes, they did that. They got through that step. And then we collect those, and we have a toolbox. Can Angela, can you get that for me? Okay. so we have this toolbox, and in the toolbox we keep our stars, our badges, our little label printing machine. These are some things you want to have on hand. And so I bring when we get the award slips back, I literally take the stars out and I punch them into the award slip just through the paper, clip them there, and we put them on the lectern up front. And so then at the end of that, we have our awards. We'll talk more about awards later, but this is just where things fall, okay? So we have our awards, and now that's the ready segment. Oh, my arrow's all messed up. That's the ready segment, okay? So those 5 things are what we do in that segment. Then the set segment over here is where we start that by quoting the 15 Bible truths. And then we do the workbook as a group discussion. And I'm not going to get into all of that right now. I will here when we get to the curriculum itself. But this is not a work through at your own pace. This is the whole group working through. And we don't go through a whole Bible truth in one night. We go through a verse or 2 in one night. And if you get to where you're doing 5 or 6 verses, you're probably not doing it right. If you're doing an entire Bible truth in one night, you're certainly not doing it right, okay? Because there's a goal here. The goal is not just to get through the material. The goal is to teach them to think about the Bible and how it applies to them.
Yeah, that's good.
That's the goal, okay? Because they've never thought about that before. And a lot of times they don't even think they can understand, especially if they're coming out of the world and their concept of the Bible is, well, you need like a priest to explain it to you or a preacher to explain it to you. You can't understand it. It's hard to understand. You want them to learn that they can read the Bible and they can understand it and they can make relationship to their own problems and their own life. And so this is a slow it down, let them talk, all right? Now, as part of that, they're going to say dumb stuff. They just are. They're going to say some dumb stuff. And that's okay, all right? Matter of fact, it's good. It's good. They need to get all the dumb stuff out so they can get to the good stuff, all right? Thank you, sweetie. So this is the toolbox we use. And I keep the stars up here, gold and silver stars. We have our red and blue stars. I'll talk more about those here in just a little bit. And then inside here, I give these out, the bookmarks out, because they have the Psalm 1 on one side, and they have the 15 Bible truths on the other. And then we have our label maker, so we can put their name on their badge. We have our award cards here. We have our confidential contact cards. We have our prayer cards, and then we have our badges. So I have all that in here. And so that way we can just, boom, everything I need is right there. I don't have to go find it or whatever. So that's a good thing to have. And you can get those toolboxes on our website. I'm just kidding. Go to Lowe's, Walmart, whatever. All right. So we're going to, in the set group, we're going to talk about the Bible. And so we'll go through the curriculum later, but basically the most important part of understanding set group is learning to be quiet yourself. Because if you're not comfortable with being quiet and letting other people talk, you're not going to be a good set group leader. Okay? You ask questions instead of giving diatribes. Okay? You let them talk, and when they say something dumb, you don't look at them and go, that was really dumb. You know, you go, that's interesting. You know, another way to look at that. And you say something brief, and then, you know, another thing about being a good set group leader is you don't let anyone dominate the conversation, because there's always one person that wants to dominate the conversation. They're usually the new person who doesn't know anything. And, you know, so a set group leader needs to be able to say, you know, okay, so how do you think we make that application to dealing with our own addiction, Bob? Right? Let Bob answer. Now ask Joe, and then ask Ken, and you're kind of working around so that these people who aren't as assertive have to be involved, and the person who wants to dominate everything doesn't have the opportunity. So you're you know, kind of being judicial in that perspective. All right, we'll talk about the. Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I call on people. I mean, if there's, I say that if there is someone who tries to dominate, I call on people. I don't always call on people. But if I have someone in there that they're wanting to dominate, they want to make every comment, and they want to talk a long time, you have to direct to other people, or else they'll, you know, they won't talk. Yeah, so I don't always just call on everybody. I think in our set group, right now I have to call on people. I just do. So, but I haven't always had to, and there will be times I won't. So.
You call on, like, if somebody's their first or second.
No.
They have like no idea what to answer.
No, I don't. But also, I don't force people to answer. I basically say, like, you know, hey, what do you think about that? And they're like, I don't know. You know, okay, that's fine. That's a fine. I mean, I don't like sit and focus on. No, you have to have something. You know, I just give them an opportunity. Basically, is what I'm doing. Okay. Yep.
Who reads the scripture?
Everyone does. Yeah, I'll ask. Now, as the group leader, I know who's uncomfortable reading, and I don't ask them. I don't want to put anyone on the spot. But I don't let anyone get out of there without having an opportunity to talk, because there will be some who want to come, just sit and not talk, and they need to. They need to get engaged, because they need to be engaged. Okay, so they at least need the opportunity to engage that way. Right? Now, they may not take it right away, but they need that opportunity. Okay. So that's the set segment as far as the formatting. And then go segment is just preaching. All right? And you say, well, what are we supposed to preach on? I recommend the Bible. I mean, highly recommend the Bible. That's what we use. I found it to work real well. Okay? Yeah. Make a note. Put it on a Post-it.
Yesterday you were talking for the last couple of days.
If you would use the microphone. Remember to use the microphone, because people out there can't hear.
Sorry.
You're fine.
We good?
Yeah.
You've been talking for the last couple of days about making sure our people learn some of this material, and some of this material you've been teaching is appropriate, I would
Yeah.
think, to teach so these guys learn
I was just going to say
how to handle their stuff. So can that be part of the preaching
Yeah, I
segment?
was just going to say that too. So what my point was is you can preach anything.
Okay.
You know, but you really ought to focus on things that matter to them. In other words, I wouldn't do a dissertation on the statue in Daniel, because it doesn't matter to them. I mean, it's not that that's not worth studying. It's in the Bible. But is it going to matter to them? And so when I'm preaching in Hope class, I'm preaching on how to deal with stress. I'm preaching on, you know, dealing with the destructive thought patterns in your life. And I don't preach all of them. I preach one. And even when I'm preaching one, I'm not giving it to it like I gave it to you guys, because, you know, you're able to get this much and they're able to get that much, you know, or that much. And so you gotta know your audience, right? I mean, it's not that they're dumb, but if you've been doing a lot of drugs lately, you're not going to get as much. I mean, you know, you got to get that part in. The protocols, I call these protocols, okay? What a protocol is it's a process or a plan for how to deal with a topic, a subject. Okay, it's a work from what's the problem, what are its sources, what's causing it, what are the consequences that people experience, and then what's the solution for the problem. Okay, Bible solution. That's the format of a protocol. So that's what I try and do in these books. That's why they're small. Most of these, if you notice, most of those are not huge books. A couple of them, I mean, that's a little more substantial, I guess, but it's still not overwhelming. But I really like this size of a book on purpose because, quite honestly, even a person that comes in that's been on drugs can look at that book and go, yeah, I could read that. Absolutely, and that's not that big. It's not that big of a book. But it's really targeted on a specific topic. And I really encourage you, and we'll talk about this more, when you do your intro, when you do your introduction to hope. I do this now. I didn't used to. This is something I do now, is I do the addiction tree as part of my welcome. Okay? And then I tell them, hey, which ones fit you? You let me know, and we have some resources that you can start looking at to help deal with those. And then, we just go ahead and start getting them on a private. Now, we're not, and we tell them, hey, if you want to talk about it, but there's exercises in these books. Like they can read a chapter, do the exercises, and work through it. You don't necessarily have to have someone sit down and go through the counseling. My intention with these is to give you a tool that you can give someone and they can get the help if they really want it. Now, not everyone wants the help, okay? They're not ready for it sometimes. But if they want the help, they can get it. And the exercises are here, and they can work through it, and then they can come ask you questions and stuff like that. So I do the addiction tree in our opening, and I'll get to that here in a little bit. During the accountability team time, I take the very new people, the first timers, and we go aside and I go through, here's what we do, and I do the addiction tree, and I help them, you need to identify where your roots are because you're going to have to dig those out and so forth. I find that it helps them feel like that this is more than just a Bible study. Like they get me. They really, when you sit down and do that addiction tree with people, I mean, they go, yeah, that's me. I see me right there. And it helps them to make that connection of, okay, that's where my problems are, and I can see that they believe they have solutions for my problems, not just addiction, right? And so that's what these are for that purpose. I would encourage you to have a charge for things, okay? We give these materials at 30% discount to Hope chapters. You don't have to charge more than that, and those are good prices, and it's a better than what the retail cost theoretically would be. But so I generally try and charge like that amount. But if you don't have a fee, just because it's full color on the cover doesn't mean they place any value in it. People value what they pay for. And they're buying cigarettes and drugs and alcohol. I mean, they've got money to buy it. So it's not going to hurt them to buy it. I find that people, if they make an investment, they'll go further. They just will. I didn't used to think that. I really didn't. I was always just like, we're giving everything away. And I'm not against giving stuff away. I give a lot of stuff. All this stuff, all this book work, all of these, this, all that, you don't have to pay for it. I mean, you download all this completely free and print it out to your heart's content, and you can give it away if you like. I mean, I'm not, but I will tell you this. Here's why I price things the way I do. If you have a normal, even your normal copier, and you try and do something like this, you're probably at our prices, okay, you're going to spend about as much to print the whole thing yourself as just to buy it. And that's just a reality. And you go, well, if I give them the whole book like this, and then they only come one time, then that's expensive. That's true, okay? So what we do is we give this away to every new person, and then we have this available, and we give them the option. We say you can do, and we'll print out section 1. You can get section 1 for just $1. That covers our cost for printing it, or you can buy this for whatever it is, 12 bucks or something like that. At 10.50. I don't remember how much it is. And they can make the choice. I mean, if they only want to invest $1, invest $1, but it's $1. And you might go, it's only $1. Yeah, but it's their $1. And that matters to them, all right? And so it's not like it's not a money-making thing. It's just, it covers the cost. And so you can do it however you choose to do it. Because like I said, we gave it out a lot, and we really do. And I have zero problem giving it out. It's not because I wouldn't rather give it out. It's because I realize that the investment matters to them psychologically, right? It just does. I don't know. I don't understand that but I also get this too. It goes back to what we were talking about yesterday with cultural thinking, and a person who thinks of themselves as a victim, they will take everything you have, whether they intend to use it or not, and they will waste it. And they waste what they do not invest in. They only value what they personally invest their money in. And so if they invest their money in it, it has value. That's just a reality. There's some, and I'm not charging for the gospel. They can come and hear the preaching, and I'll work with them and love them and help them and everything, but they do need to make some level of investment in their process. All right, where was I at? Preaching, okay. You can take these books and preach through them because these are things that they're dealing with, and you can just take that and take the chapters and preach through them, modify them, fix them, correct our heresies and stuff like that, and seriously. I mean, you're going to see things different. You're going to read that and go, man, I would have used this illustration. Do it. Absolutely. I mean, do it. It's just a tool. It's just a tool to use. You can use it in that fashion. So the preaching time, those protocols are really a good thing to go through. All right. So let's talk about, do you understand the format here? Yes. Okay. Yeah.
How much time
No,
do you spend?
microphone, please. Always come to the microphone. Always come to the microphone. No matter how many times I say it. Yeah, exactly.
How much time do you spend on each segment? And I know that may vary, but
Yeah, so we do, on Friday night meeting, we do about 2 hours total program. So we're doing, 40 minutes-ish per segment in that area. But we don't run by a clock as much as the clock is more of a guide than a law. It's not like 40 minutes, boom, we have to change. If God's really working right here, and we take an extra 5 minutes, that's fine. And if we get out at 9:05 instead of 9 o'clock or 9:10, it's okay. I mean, we're not trying to be, time masters or something like that. But approximately 40 minutes a segment. But on Wednesday nights or Sunday school, we're more rigid on the time. And so we do 30-minute segments, or approximately, right? We'll talk more about that later. But yeah, about 40 minutes.
Do you break
Good
up?
job.
Thank you. Do you break up the set by gender?
When we have enough people.
Okay.
If we only have 3 people, we're not breaking up. It's like, that's just, you know,
So where's the line so that you have found?
it's where you're comfortable.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. If I have 5 people, like 2 ladies and 2, my line is generally I want at least 3, you know, because just 2, it's a conversation. It's not a discussion group, right? So 3 and up, I'll divide. You might think that, oh, Beth Haven, they probably have, you know, this huge group of people. You know what? We go through those phases just like you do. We get down to where it's like just the workers showed up that night, and then we have one person coming, and then we build up, and we'll have a group of people, and then, you know, as they start graduating or they just quit. And I mean, we go through the same thing. We have people that come one time and never come back. We have a lot of those. That's not a failure on what you're doing. It's like they're looking for help, but maybe they get there and they're like, this is not the help I'm looking for. I don't want anything that has to do with the Bible. Or they get, and you know, which is strange, they came to a church. But see, AA meets in churches a lot of times. And so in their mind, you can go to that meeting and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the Bible or God, because AA tell you, you know, a doorknob can be your higher power or whatever. So even though they're meeting in a church, that's a reality, you know. So it doesn't mean that they're, just because they come and don't come back doesn't mean that you're failing somehow. I mean, you're available to the ones that are ready. It's just like door knocking. I tell our people, we're not knocking doors because we think, you know, and we come back and I didn't lead anybody to the Lord today, I'm a failure. No, you went out and you shared the gospel. Even if you didn't get to go through the gospel, you were available for that. And what we're really looking for people that are looking. Okay, we're looking for people that are open. But you go through a lot of people that aren't looking and a lot of people that aren't open before you find that one, you know. And so it's a process. So don't beat yourself up about, you know, well, we don't have this big group. You probably won't have a big group most of the time. And it'll go through these, you know, oscillations of, you know, small to growing and shrinking and all that. That's just the nature of this ministry. Okay, and I'm going to talk, well, I'll just say that right here. The biggest reason, the biggest thing you can do to build your group is stop relying on it as if you were a business. You're not a business. A business puts out a sign and an ad in the paper, and then they wait for people to come in, basically, right? You're not a business. Addicts need relationships. They need community, right? And they are drawn to a community. They're drawn to relationships. They want that. They're lonely. Okay, they're alone. And the best thing you can do is go out and meet them and get to know them out there and then bring them in. And Brother Gates was talking about that last night. You know, they're out there trying to talk, but you've got to engage them. They've got to know that this isn't just a clinical thing for you, okay? Just getting them through this material isn't going to change them. This is a tool. Yeah, it's a tool to help them grow in Christ, but it's that relationships that's going to really keep drawing them back, okay? And so this is less, in that sense, okay, in that sense, it's more about you and your willingness to invest in them, your willingness to love them, than it is about the curriculum. Now, the curriculum is going to help them learn about God and learn how to draw close to Him and implement the character qualities of Christ into their life that will help them maintain sobriety long term. But the initial aspect of it is it's for them. They're not sitting there going, if I just had a way to instill the character of Christ into my life, I would get off drugs. What they're thinking is, if there was somebody that cared about me, they could help me. And it's not about this, it's about this. And them knowing that there is someone that cares about them and there is someone, but you're not going to sit in your building and that happen. You're going to have to get out there and you're going to have to go find them. And you just go find them. They're everywhere. And, yeah, microphone there. And so you go find them and they'll come, okay? But they need to know you, you know, they need to know that they need to know you care, you know. And as they build that knowledge of you, then they're going to be more faithful. They really will be, yeah.
So we've been getting sometimes we get folks that appear to still be high on something.
Yeah.
Do you let them sit through the meeting, or do you
Of course.
ask them to come back another time?
No, yeah, we let them sit through the meeting.
What's that?
Yeah, we let them sit through the meeting, of
Okay.
course. Yeah, they're coming because they have a problem. If I tell them they have to fix their problem before they come, then, you know. Now, I don't let them be disruptive. If they're disruptive, you know, we kind of like, you know, you're going to have to calm down, you know. But we don't have that happen real often.
We've been getting that lately.
That they're disruptive?
No, well, talk a lot.
Well, that's because, yeah. I mean,
Kind of ramble and
yeah.
like a sewing machine.
Yeah, that's why you call on other people, you know. And I engage with them. I mean, I'll engage with them. You know, I don't like go, hey, you be quiet, you know. They do that to me. They'll talk while I'm talking, and you know, so it's okay. I mean, like I say, there's a level where they get disruptive, but you know, there's that level. But yeah, no, I don't kick them out.
So I have two questions. One, how many teachers do you have? Obviously, you probably have a male and a female. And then also, child care. How do you go about running that?
Yeah, well, we follow the Brother Gates manual. We throw them out. Just throw them right out in the street, man. So, yeah. So we have always 2 teachers, and then we'll have anywhere from 2 to 6 teachers. But that's us because we've been doing it quite a while. And so we currently, but don't have, but want to have, will have at some point, a kids program again. Okay, we've had it in the past, we just haven't got it running right now. But at some point, that's our goal, is to have a kids program again, because it does help, you know, to have somewhere for the kids to go. But to do that, you really need a fairly large team. You really do. And here's why: because that Friday night, if you're doing it on Friday night, it just wears on you, that extra night every week, never having that time. And so you need a team, if you're going to start doing that, you need a team large enough that people can take a week off without feeling like the whole program is going to fall apart if I'm not there. And so it takes time. Do what you can do. Don't stress about what you can't do. That's it. I mean, it's like church, you know. We don't have a full orchestra. We have a few people that play, you know, flutes. But if we were all stressed about whether we have a full orchestra, then we wouldn't do well the other stuff. And that stuff comes with time, right? I mean, just development and so forth, and just focus on where you are. But it is best, if you're doing a Friday night program, to have at least 2 competent families where one week, if they go on vacation or someone, dies, or they just need the night, the other team couple can carry the meeting that night. So that's best. And if you don't have that, my recommendation is to do a Wednesday night during your service, and I'll explain that later, or Thursday. Whatever your midweek service is, do it during that time, and I'll explain how to modify for that, because there you're going to build a team. That's how you build a team. Okay, why don't you come share what you shared a minute ago?
We are about a year and a half into our Hope Ministry, and we started it. We have midweek services on Thursdays, and so what we do is our service starts at 7, but we start 6:30, and then we go through the same format. It's a little bit shortened, but we do the same format, and and then church service goes and starts without me. I've been over there and song leader, and they just do their thing, and I get over there at 7:30. But it's been phenomenal because it started out with just our church group, those that were interested in the ministry. What they found is they needed it too, and we have built them as a team, and we've done things. We started, Brother Joshua here behind me. We started a kids program where we bring in kids at 6:30 as well. And so if anybody comes with kids, they go over to their kids ministry, and they're a part of that. And we do not force them to go to our church service. If they want to leave at 7:30, that's fine. But most of them will stay, but some leave, and that's fine. And but it's been great for our people. And I'm at a point now where in August I'm stepping out of it because these guys are ready to take it. And we're starting a Friday night in August now because these guys are they're ready. They're all pumped up. They're ready to run with it. And it's been great for them. It's been great for me. It's been great for our church. It's prepared these other church members to take the ministry and go with it. And it's really only been a huge blessing for our church. And it's not difficult. It takes time, but it's not difficult. And it's, to me as a pastor, it's just thrilling to watch people learn and step up, and they want to do this now. And it's a great ministry. I even took the 15 biblical truths in that workbook there, and I used it we have a Christian school. I taught our 7th through 12th grade. I retyped it and gave it. They didn't know they were addicts, but I retyped it. And to this day, that was one of their favorite years of Bible class. They learned these things and just the discussion and stuff, and it helped prepare them. And but there's so many avenues to use it for, but it has been a huge blessing for us. And again, 6:30 to 7:30 is what we do, and now we're ready to launch out into the next stage. And so, it can be done, and it's been a huge blessing. So
Now, none of your folks that are ready to run this, they're not Bible college graduates. They're not.
No, not at all.
Okay.
They're just folks in our church,
Right.
And they've now gone through this, and it took us a year and a half. We're not still all the way through the Formative Life, like in a year and a half.
Right.
We're still not through even the 15 biblical truths. We take our time, and but they got it. They understand where it's going, and so they're just faithful church member A and B that
Right.
Of all different ages, and but you'll be amazed how many people in your church, once you start this ministry, and it loses the I can't go to that, but I start out every Hope meeting with this. We all have issues,
Yeah.
every one of us, and it's been amazing to me how our church members needed it, and they come to realize that, and then they just jump in there, and it's been a blessing for our church as a whole. So
Yeah. Amen. So this is my recommendation for most churches. That's how you need to start, because number one, you do have people that need help. You can come ask a question. You do have people in your church that need help, and even if they're not addicts, like I said, this is a discipleship program. So it's not like they're not going to grow in Christ. And that's probably the number one comment I get from pastors is, man, I had no idea how much my people, just my regular church people needed this, and it's helped them grow. And then the second thing is that's how you build a team. What he just talked about, it's a year and a half on a Wednesday, on their midweek service, their Thursday night. They built their team, and now they're ready to take the next step. You do not need to do it. That's why I said at the beginning, you don't have to do what we do in order to do Hope. We've grown to this, but we're not. But we didn't start there. We didn't start there. When I started Hope at Beth Haven Baptist Church, we started on Wednesday nights. I did modify our Wednesday night service a bit to do exactly what he just said. I did Hope. I started at 6:30 to 7:30, and I had the song service, and we used to have our prayer meeting time at the end of our service. We moved it to before the preaching. And so we have our song service and our prayer meeting, and then at 7:30 we have a song, one song, 2 verses, and then the preaching. And so we would come in, and we still use that format for our our Wednesday nights. Then they come in, our calm group, we have a weekly calm group meeting. They come in, so they come in for the preaching time. And just like he said, not all of them come in. That's okay. But, that gives all 3 aspects, but it helps you train your people, helps your people feel like, because if you just started on a Friday night, a lot of your people probably wouldn't come, right? Doing it as kind of in connection with your service, it matters. And I have had a number of guys who are church planters, and that's probably maybe what he's going to talk about right now, who like literally just, that's what their midweek service is. They just do the whole program. Is that what you were going to say? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, yeah, we've the last 2 churches we've started, the one we just started and the one before, we made our midweek service an addiction program, not telling them it's an addiction program, but it's very good when we're out on visitation and somebody is in that position. We say, hey, you need to come on our midweeks on Tuesday. You need to come to our midweek service. It's an intensive discipleship program, so we're able to disciple them, but it helps them to realize they can ask questions or be involved in this thing. And so it kind of opens up the whole thing with your baby Christians. And all ours are new Christians. And so it just works very well. And we just use the 30-30-30 on ours.
Right.
Sometimes the last 30 goes a little over, but but that's how we use it. So
Yeah. So just,
Can I ask him a question? Do you break up into the group, the second group?
we yes, we try to. Yes, yeah. We and then, like I say, we kind of set up. We try to do the 30-30, and then the last service we have a song service and things. So it might go to 8:15. We start at 6:30. It might go to 8:15. But our goal is to get them out where they're not real late. But
his question was, do they break up into set group, men, women, set
yes,
groups?
we do. We do the same, basically the same program. We just it works great for a midweek service, and yeah.
All right. So now you might have been an established church and you're like, this is how we do our Wednesday. And if I changed our service format, I have Baptist people that will like revolt and, quit tithing and stuff. And I can't do that. That's fine. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to do it that way like he's doing it, where it's like their whole service. They did it like we did it which is like, just add 30 minutes. The nice part about that is it's like it's not an extra night. It's part of your week, and for your people. But like he said, after a while, you get people that really get a heart for others, and they want to do that Friday night because everyone knows that, man, that's the night that they're going out and they need someplace. They need something. But it's not an extra night for your people that are just kind of like, I don't know if this is really something for me, but I'm curious because I have a cousin who's an addict or my brother or something like that. I'd like to learn more so I can help someone else. And then they start getting help, and then they grow, and then they begin to help others. So anyway, those are important things, okay? Any other questions real quick before I move in to a break?